Why now then? Why, in this uncomfortable week between Christmas and New Year's, are we raising the price objective at this time? Following that, you added, I have a call to make. Yes, since the bears are unable to locate AI in the spreadsheets, they are in hibernation mode. We're doing the work, you see. The supply chain in Asia is showing strength not only through December, but I think this year will end up being a record year. To learn more about NVIDIA's quarter, we're joined by CFR Research Senior Equity Analyst Angelo Zeno. It's wonderful to see you, Angelo. Listen, NVIDIA reports that predictably we're bouncing about here after hours. However, please respond to the print right away. Angelo, thank you for having me. Therefore, in my opinion, the quarter looked fantastic. The corporation guided a few months ago at $32.5 billion, since I believe we were looking at $33 billion heading into the print. The numbers were gradually increasing, sort of, into the print here, and then they issued a figure that was, like $2 billion higher than what was anticipated. It's obvious that the guidance was better than we had anticipated. We were hoping for $37 billion, but now you have this game where you have to beat the street by at least $1.5 billion to $2 billion. Regarding the guidance, you didn't understand that. Personally, I wouldn't worry about it. When it comes to the guidance for the January quarter, we have informed investors that we would anticipate NVIDIA to be somewhat more cautious because, as you may know, the Blackwell launch represents a shift towards this platform-based offering. Additionally, if you are a member of that management team, you should probably err on the side of caution because it is a very complex chip to produce. Additionally, you will over-deliver in February if you do so. In light of the guidelines, I believe this is the appropriate course of action. You shouldn't make too much of it, in my opinion. Overall, I believe these are quite impressive findings. Additionally, the CFO's comments was released, and according to it, both the Hopper and Blackwell systems have known supply limits, and for a number of quarters in fiscal 2026, demand for Blackwell is anticipated to outpace supply. Does it align with what the market has been anticipating then? How do you? It seems like you think NVIDIA has done a good job of managing expectations? Yes, please pay attention. I believe we stated in our preview on Monday that we anticipated Blackwell delays to continue until the end of 2025. I believe that this is somewhat consistent with Jensen's remarks. A few weeks ago, he had mentioned the kind of crazy demand they're getting for Blackwell. Thus, we are aware of this. We are aware of the high demand. We are aware of the demand. We are certain that there will be revenue. In terms of this quarter's guidance, it's just another one of those things. It most likely has more to do with some supply issues, and then being a little careful throughout the debit phase. However, considering that these rack solutions are, once more, a platform-based product, we anticipate a good step up in terms of the revenue trajectory there as we begin to see the ramp in the April and July quarters. After that, you will notice a notable improvement in the fundamentals. However, supply problems will continue to exist. In the next 6 to 9 months, for example, it will likely make it more difficult for them to market what they want. However, I believe it also gives investors some excellent insight for the next 12 or more months. Is this argument predicated on the notion that for the first time in 3 decades, there may be a continuous influx of top talent and employees to the United States, as well as a potential expansion of H-1B visas? China is behind the United States. As far as technology is concerned, I believe that skill is what will drive the AI revolution. Additionally, I believe that the supply-demand relationship has been lacking. These businesses increasingly need to keep adding talent to support this. Therefore, if you look at what we're seeing with H-1B and how it all ends up working out, it will be a really significant event that takes place in Silicon Valley and throughout the tech industry in 2025. Throughout the holiday season, Elon Musk has been at the forefront of this discussion and dispute. Let's discuss Tesla. In a very bad auto market, especially for the European companies, Tesla stands out. Stan Driller, I believe, once remarked, "You'd be surprised by how few people understand what makes a stock go up or down." Yes, what causes Tesla to rise or fall? Because car sales don't seem to be the main focus. It appears to be something far more significant. And in terms of Q4, we can expect deliveries within the next several hours. I believe that this will be a story about autonomous AI in the coming years, and it relates to Musk's long-standing wager on truck continuity. It's going to be the autonomous future, in my opinion. You're wagering on it with Tesla, although you don't see it in the numbers today. I believe that in the long run, the AI time of tail is worth the trillion-dollar investment. However, we will be discussing deliveries in the coming hours this week, and the focus will be on China deliveries, which were a complete bust at times during the previous 12 to 18 months, but have since begun to improve for Tesla. Additionally, that will be crucial. For what reason do you think that will continue? Because businesses like Alpha and are raising some of the same issues in the luxury market. Is the consumer side of things truly suffering in China? Why are you so optimistic about 2025? The demand for EVs is what we observe in the context of the Chinese market as a whole. I believe that Tesla may experience a 20% increase in delivery from China, but I also believe that many of those price reductions in the rearview mirror will cause us to have some rough patches. And for that reason, I believe that the bears have misinterpreted Tesla at the moment. For Musk and Tesla, the delivery narrative is currently 10 to 15%. In the future, it will be 85 to 90% AI autonomous. The way they kept everyone excited about Blackwell's potential, where orders stand, and the fact that demand is still exceeding supply, in my opinion, was really artistic. However, they didn't increase the level of enthusiasm to the point where they would be unable to win when they report again, and it will be the company's primary responsibility moving forward. It is currently the world's largest market cap firm. In the world, it is currently the most essential stock. They don't have to keep pushing themselves to perform better and better and better. Therefore, it's more difficult than it seems since the revolution is real and they do have a very bright future. Furthermore, it is indisputable that GPUs and data centers will continue to dominate the market. In that revolution, their market share position is likewise indisputable. Since the market expects them to double their revenue annually, which is obviously impossible mathematically, they must now do this quarter after quarter, provide people with realistic guidance, execute, ship products, and hit those numbers without putting themselves in a situation from which they cannot escape. Everything is going ok so far. I believe Jensen is aware of the goal. Based on what I heard last night, I believe he has accepted the mission. Victoria Fernandez of Crossmark Global Investments and Barbara Duran of BD8 Capital Partners will now join me. Happy New Year, Barb guys. The same strategy for 2025, I'm not sure. Watch for more volatility and pullbacks. Yes, it is the current question, isn't it? As people attempted to assess where we were in this cycle, I believe we witnessed constant rotations this year. They eventually returned to that, even after reaping profits in the Mag 7 or some of the large cap tech companies. Just because the profits are there, I believe you still need to be long some of these mega-cap tech companies. They are likely to average 20% this year and 21% the next year. Therefore, I believe you must remain there. Naturally, the main unknown at the moment is what will happen with the incoming administration. What are the anticipated tax cuts? To what extent will deregulation be counterbalanced by high tariffs that might raise inflation even further? Or even though what happens to growth, the need to fill employment, and wage inflation if there are huge deportations. Therefore, I believe the market will wait to see it before saying, all right, we're going to.